Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Yes. And then I'll mute. Yeah, okay. And are you going to, is what Rabbi Noah going to say it now? Rabbi Shapiro will give the eulogy? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think.
Do you want to watch it and then? Is that picture of done?
You can't see that, right?
Yeah, but that looks stupid if you see.
You can't see. Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, Judy, why don't you turn it off? Turn off the other one too, perhaps. Yeah.
Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asked his students, "What's a good way for a man to live his life?" And one of his students answered, "To have an ayin tova, a good eye." Another said to be a chaver tov, a good friend. And a third, Rabbi Eliezer, replied, to have a lev tov, a good heart. Rabbi Yochanan then said, "I prefer Rabbi Eliezer's answer, for those who have a lev tov, a good heart, also possess the other qualities." Howard Pollack had an ayin tova, a good eye, for he was able to look at life and at people and see the good. He had a brilliance about him and the way he saw the world, perceiving what was good and right and what was just. Howard was a chaver tov, a good neighbor, a good friend to so many. He had a warmth and was thoughtful and kind to those he loved and cared for. But above all and basic to all else, he had a lev tov, a good heart. He was a warm, a sincere, a generous human being who cared for others. And so our rabbis taught that there are three crowns: the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of royalty. But they emphasized that the crown of a good name excels them all. And the book of Ecclesiastes says, "Tov Shem mishemen tov," a good name is to be treasured above precious oil. Wealth and health and even life passes away, but a good name lives forever. It is this view that the Talmud teaches monuments need not be erected for the righteous, their deeds are their memorials. Howard Pollack will be remembered and revered for the kindness he's shown, for the love he's given, for Howard is a shining example of what it means to be a mensch. And so we begin our service with the 121st Psalm, a psalm that bids us to look up to the mountains. For Howard was a source of uplift to his family and his friends, and his goodness will be a permanent marker in their lives, not unlike the lofty peaks of the highest heights.
Es ha'enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz.
I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help will come from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth.
Al yiten lamot raglecha al yanu
God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber.
Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomerecha Adonai tzilcha al yaminecha.
Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Eternal is your keeper. Adonai is your shade at your right hand.
Yom hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorecha mikol ra ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד
The sun shall not harm you by day, nor the moon at night. Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. And even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of Howard's light and his warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. Death has summoned our beloved Howard Pollack, and for his love which united you in life and which death cannot sever, and for his companionship which was shared along life's path and which still continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of his heart and mind which brought joy and happiness and now have become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, we are thankful. In this time of mourning, we listen to the voice of our sacred scripture that brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness, the 23rd Psalm.
Adonai ro'i lo echsa bino deshe yarbitzeini al mei menuchot nafshi shovev yancheini b'magelei tzedek yancheini b'magelei tzedek l'man shemo gam ki elech b'geit al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi v'shivtecha u'mishantecha heima yinachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorrai dishanta vashemen roshi kosir revaya ach tova שבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר.
Eternal One, you are my shepherd. I shall not want. You make me lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. You guide me in paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff you comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup is overflowing. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in your house forever. There's a beautiful poem that was written by the late Rabbi Alvin Fine that speaks to the nature of life and the journey of becoming. Birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to old age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, one that Howard took with great dignity, great goodness, in pursuit of justice and goodness around him, and for the love of family. It was a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage to life everlasting. It's now a privilege to hear words of love shared by those who were Howard's inner circle. It's a privilege to call first upon Mike Apfeld, his dear colleague, to speak loving reminiscences of Howard.
Good morning. One of Howard's last wishes was to have Art Harrington, one of his former law colleagues and a close friend, say a few words today. Art was honored to do so. Unfortunately, Art underwent knee surgery on Tuesday, and while he's doing fine, he just isn't yet sufficiently mobile to make it here. He asked me, another colleague and friend of Howard's, to do so in his place. The following are Art's words. I, Art, have known Howard for almost 50 years. A long time for two young men. I first met Howard in 1974 when I interviewed for a summer internship at the law firm of Charney, Glasner, Teahan, Clancy, and Tatelman. I remember that Howard was full of energy during that interview, and even during that first meeting, he conveyed a lasting impression of love for the law. During my internship that summer, he took me under his wing and demonstrated the traits that make a great lawyer. Howard seemed to know the name of every reported legal case in Wisconsin and could summarize their holdings without doing further legal research. I soon learned that Howard had a photographic memory. He could read something once and remember it for his lifetime. One example illustrating this point was his mastery of the multiplication table for the number 25. You could give Howard any number, and he would immediately calculate the product of 25 times that number. This was in the 1970s. Howard was the analog version of AI, only no artificial, just intelligence. After completing the summer internship in my last year of law school, I joined Charney Glassner. At that time, Irv Charney and his firm were appointed by John Reynolds, the federal court judge of the Eastern District of Wisconsin, to represent the plaintiff in a lawsuit that sought the desegregation of the Milwaukee public school system. This was the most significant case in the district for decades, and Howard was delegated by Irv to do the most important legal work in that contentious case. He was the principal author of the brief in the United States Supreme Court that affirmed the remedy resulting in the desegregation of the Milwaukee school system. Howard was a good friend as well as a professional colleague during those early days. When I announced my engagement to be married in 1978, Howard hosted my bachelor party at the house he shared with Floyd Schwade in the Sherman Park neighborhood. On occasion, Howard displayed a stubborn streak. I recall one incident involving a chair he felt was ragged and should be replaced. The office manager was not moving fast enough, so Howard threatened to resign unless the new chair was delivered by the end of the week. I think one of the shareholders donated his chair to ensure that the brightest lawyer in the firm did not leave as a result of that dispute. Howard was a modest person in his lifestyle as a bachelor in the early years at Charney. His one extravagance was a bronze Datsun 280Z sports car. Yet, he was punished even for this. He would have to plug in a hairdryer with an extension cord to blow hot air on the carburetor to enable it to start during our wonderful Wisconsin winters. I left the Charney firm in 1988 to join Godfrey & Kahn. At the time, it had a first-class reputation for estate planning, tax, and corporate law, but its litigation team was relatively small. I convinced two of my colleagues on that team, Bill Levitt, former general counsel at Rexnord, and Mike Apfeld, a transfer from a Chicago law firm, that they should consider hiring Howard to lead the litigation practice at Godfrey. Under Howard's leadership, and with the addition of some other outstanding lawyers, over time, Howard built the litigation practice at Godfrey to be one of the strongest in the state. Howard's expertise included, among many other things, the rules of evidence. Whenever he rose in federal court to object to his opponent's evidence, the presiding judge would invariably sustain Howard's objection. Howard also had a national reputation as an expert in class action and federal securities litigation. Very few other lawyers in the Midwest were able to master these complex subjects as well as Howard. Howard's career was marked with numerous honors. During his service in Vietnam in the early 1970s, he was awarded the Bronze Star for his work in the JAG Corps. Howard was a long-standing member of the Barristers Society, to which, on an annual basis, he contributed learned presentations on a variety of topics of his choosing. He was elected president of the Seventh Circuit Bar Association, the most prestigious bar association in the Midwest, including lawyers from Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. During his tenure as president, he helped create and subsequently host the famous, or perhaps infamous, Strike a Glancing Blow cocktail reception. All was well attended, not only by the lawyers at the conference, but by the judges as well. It was a badge of honor to be invited to one of Howard's receptions. And Howard served on the board of visitors for the UW Law School, a prestigious appointment reserved for its most prominent graduates. Yet, as much as he loved the practice of law, Howard's first love was for Carol, their children, and their grandchildren. His chief reason for retiring from Godfrey & Kahn at the prime of his career was to spend more time with those he loved. He often told me that the decision was motivated by his desire not to miss the special events of their lives, which, as many of you know, the practice of law sometimes demands. In this respect, as in so many others, Howard demonstrated his preeminent judgment and good sense. Mark Twain once said, "The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why." I think Howard figured out the why long ago. Today, we can only express our gratitude for both, that he was born, and that we were lucky enough to know him, and that he did figure it out so well. Howard, we all miss you, and we will every day since your passing. Now, those were Art Harrington's words. As for me, suffice it to say that I owe every bit as much of my own legal development to Howard as does Art, and have every bit as much respect for Howard's legal skills. But it's relatively easy to be a good lawyer. It's much harder to be a good man. And it's harder still to be both simultaneously. Yet Howard was both, in all respects and at all times. This was his nature. He was a gentleman in every sense of the word. He had profound respect for both people and the law. I could tell you all manner of war stories from cases on which Howard and I worked together, of which there were many. But my fondest memories of Howard are just sitting around in his office, at a restaurant at lunch, on his and Carol's welcoming backyard patio, and discussing the larger questions of law, of politics, and of life. Howard's mind was infinitely curious, and his understanding of humanity almost bottomless. These qualities continued unabated long after both of us were retired, and long after he became ill. We often came at issues from different perspectives, but that was the joy of it. I always savored the back and forth of our discussions, deducing causes, following implications, positing solutions. And I think he did so too. He was a good man and a good friend. I shall miss him badly.
It's now a privilege to call upon Howard's beloved daughter, Lauren, to share her memories and her love for her father.
I'm going to try. Last week, my family decided that we each would write Howard a letter. I realized that the letter I wrote was just not good enough. The words were not enough. So today, I'm going to try to tell you in words what a tremendous impact Howard had on my life and for my family. I'm afraid it still won't be enough. In probably 1962, Howard signed my mom's high school yearbook. In it, he confessed that to her that of all of the cheerleaders, she was the cutest and nicest of them all. Oh, that was a quote. He was a patient man. And 24 years later, he had his first date with my mom. I was 14 years old, and I was not easy. He had very little experience with kids and with teenagers, but he always treated me and Justin with kindness and respect. He never forced a parental way with me, and yet he seamlessly became the absolute best addition to my life. I remember he would drive me and my friends to go get ice cream, not caring whether we were loud and obnoxious. He would just smile and sometimes ask us a question about whatever it is we were talking about. I remember sitting with him at the kitchen table editing my college entrance essays. Howard would make suggestions with his red pencil, but in the most kind and gentle manner. I remember this one time I decided I was going to teach Howard how to cook. And we decided together that we would make Rice Krispie treats in the microwave. It wasn't much of an accomplishment, obviously, but for some reason it was really special. Howard did not have to love me. He did not have to raise me. He did not have to be a father to Berkeley. Or to a grandfather to our children. But he did all of those things, and he was outstanding. I am so grateful to my mom for bringing him into my life. He influenced my choice in a life partner, and he was a role model for our family in so many ways. He taught me many, many life lessons. Most notably, and repeatedly, he always reminded me to remain calm and to take the high road. I needed those speeches a lot. When Morgan was first born, Howard said that he and my mom would see us every 6 to 8 weeks, even though we lived far away. He said they would visit for every birthday. They continued to do this for each of the 5 grandchildren's birthdays, all those years up until COVID. One year, Sydney even suggested that they come for her birthday in December and stay all the way through Avery's birthday in January. They did that even while Howard was still working. They just made it work. This allowed him to really get to know each of us and really bond with each of us in our family. While visiting, he would often wake up earlier than the rest of us and walk to the grocery store. He would buy himself his Wall Street Journal and buy us a dozen donuts or chocolate croissants or cinnamon rolls just because he thought the kids would like it, which of course they did. Howard would research Austin restaurants and tell us where we should eat, what was new and noteworthy. One year, for each of the kids' birthdays, he made a reservation for the same restaurant for a long, multi-course, family-style dinner. The kids rolled their eyes and argued about getting dressed up, but ultimately loved having the experience of a fancy dinner. We still call that restaurant the Manners Place. He taught each of our girls to play chess when they were very young. He was so proud when Morgan and Sydney won first and second place in the school chess club. They were only in second grade and kindergarten, and we had to break the rules to get Sydney in as a kindergartner. He took us on vacations that always indulged the kids' interests, not his own. When Sydney was in her president's phase, he took us to D.C., and we visited William Howard Taft's gravesite. To indulge Avery's love of Legos, we went to Legoland in California. He made sure there was always a tennis court available so that he and Berkeley could make time for a match. He took each of the 5 grandchildren, well, almost took Avery, to New York for their bar and bat mitzvah trips, choosing Broadway shows and restaurants that they would like. He shared his love of tennis with me. He would send me obscure books about tennis in the 1950s and then call me regularly to make sure I had read them, which I had not, which then caused him to explain in painful detail every statistic and nuance of the game back then. He would text me links to articles regularly, regarding players, retirements, injuries, nutrition, their exercise regimens, everything. Once in a while, I would get to share some tennis detail with him that he didn't already know. And he would ask me, "Where did you read that?" As if to imply he had already read the whole internet. He was our family historian, remembering every fact in detail. So now it's time that we have to start remembering. We will remember his sweet smile, his gentle way. We will remember the way he assigned us movies to watch or books to read. We will remember the way that he loved us, the way that he made everyone feel respected. We will remember the way he lived with integrity. He always remained calm and always chose the high road. I will remember his generosity. I will remember the memories he gave our family. I will remember how much he changed my life so profoundly. Howard, these words are not enough to thank you and to tell you how grateful I am to be your daughter.
Thank you, Lauren, for those beautiful memories and words of love for your father. It's now a privilege to call upon Howard's dear brother, Larry, to share some memories of his brother.
Hello, all. Everyone that knew Howard well knew of his accomplishments as an attorney, which was summarized beautifully this morning and in his obit. Howard, even as a kid, was brilliant. His vast knowledge came from reading, where he gobbled up books, meaning that what he read, he remembered not just for a month or two, but it was for life. Not just a little bit of what he read, but everything he read. In college, there was no exam that he could not conquer with ease. I remember when we roomed together in Madison, I was a freshman, trying to figure out how just to get good grades. He was falling asleep with the book over his face and saying he's learning all that through osmosis or something. He wanted me to try it. Luckily, I didn't. So, a lawyer he knew he wanted to be, despite a few setbacks in the timetable, meaning the Vietnam War. His friendships were lasting, and certainly family life with Carol brought Howard full circle. In the last almost couple of years, Howie and I almost talked every day. Many times the discussion started with Howard saying, "I'm tired," Howie explained the schedule for his procedures for the coming work, and then we morphed into remembering someone that lived on 49th Street between Locust and Hadley. Then he took it east and west from there. Then he took it between Burleigh and Center Street, and I think he knew every residence in that whole neighborhood, what people are doing, and it was just like getting back to our roots. Howard's memory had absolutely no illness. Family also became a topic, and Howard took great joy in watching a beautiful steal and a layup. I think I saw that video at least 5 to 10 times. He took great pride in the joys of his grandchildren and family. And he also took joys in them finding their colleges and their future endeavors. Howard was the first person we put on any of our family documents. When I had questions, I always asked Howard. He always listened to our families, both our accomplishments as well as our challenges. His tiredness took a pause when he could help in any way. Even our last discussion, which was only a few days before his death, he told me he was tired. And I asked him who had the best tennis serve that either he or I ever played against. We quickly ruled out ourselves out of the competition, as well as a number of people, some of them are probably in this audience. I was very much looking forward to analyzing best backhands, forehands, and all the other nonsense issues that is what he or I would bring up. Our discussions were certainly cut short, but I am so proud of my brother. And I was, and I always will be my brother's greatest cheerleader. Howard, thanks for you and everybody in your sphere for all the memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry, for speaking those beautiful words of brotherhood. And now it's a privilege to call upon Howard's dear rabbi and friend, Rabbi Shapiro. We're experiencing some difficulties with connecting with Rabbi Shapiro. And while that takes place, and while we connect, if we can't, I have his words with me. There's a beautiful song that was written by Hannah Sanish that speaks to the nature of life and how we wish for all of the goodness to continue in our lives. Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer leolam, hachol v'hayam, rish rush shel hamayam.
Can you see?
Rish rush shel hamayim, berak hashamayim tfilat adam. O God, my God, I pray that these things never end, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart. Rabbi Shapiro.
Can I begin? Okay. It is a source of sadness for me not to be there in Milwaukee to remember Howie and the love which I always felt for him. I always thought that Howie was the very embodiment of the ability to give love and to receive it in a most gracious and wonderful manner. There is a poem that I thought was so significant, particularly listening to his family. The name of this poem is To You, My Child. And inhabited within this poem, indeed, are those feelings of love which he felt for his family and to the community and to his dear and wonderful wife. If there could only be one thing in life for me to teach you, my children, my family, I would teach you to love, to respect others so that you always will find respect in yourself, to learn the value of giving so that if there comes a time in your life when someone really needs, you will give, to act in a manner with which you would wish to be treated and to be proud of yourself, to laugh and to smile, to enjoy life as much as you can in order to bring joy into this world, to stand tall in this world and learn how to depend on yourself, to only take from this earth that which you truly need so that there will always be enough for others, and to not depend on money or material things for your happiness, but to learn to appreciate the people who love you, the simple gift that God gave to you, to find peace and security within yourself. To you, all whom I love, I have taught these things, for these things are love. A wonderful poem because it represents the very life that Howard Pollack lived. And we'll always remember him as not only a brilliant person, but a person who had an extraordinarily dear heart and love and caring for his family, for the family of humanity. Howard Pollack was a warm and bright and thoughtful person, and we also cherished the vast wisdom which he imparted, the sensitive thoughtfulness which he bestowed, and the loving manner he offered to his many friends, and truly his adored family. How he loved tennis, as we've heard several times, but even the knowledgeable manner by which to play tennis, and even the means by which he should hold his racket. He studied the game of tennis as he intellectually studied the complexities of so many interests he possessed. Tennis is a game which begins with the score, love, love. And Howard, of course, loved tennis, but mostly he loved his precious family, his many friends, his giving and caring manner, his bountiful love for Carol, his daughter Lauren Simmons Berkeley, his son, the late Justin, and I remember Justin's bar mitzvah during the month of December. If I remember correctly, it was December the 19th. And he was so bright, Carol, so joyous. And that December bar mitzvah day at Congregation Shalom, Justin brought the joy of his brilliant smile and vibrant manner. And years later, married Michelle, and that goodness and the love would foster beauty which abounded in his grandchildren. And Morgan and Sydney, Avery and Robert and Ashley, each of you brought joy and love to your precious family and made Howard so proud and fulfilled by your beautiful goodness and love. In that manner, his beloved game of tennis begins, of course, at love, love. And in truth, the love he felt for the game of tennis matched the love he felt for each of you. He received love, he offered love, and his goodness was the embodiment of his love. I so cherished Howard's friendship. He was, as we all know, a brilliant person with a keen understanding of life that we live. And yet, too, he was a man who understood the complexities of the world and the complicated realities of life. The world he knew could be strained and filled with angry and ravenous people. Yet, he remained always a kind and refined person. Howie was a giving and caring human being. He once bought me a cherished gift. This is just an example of how he thought so carefully and so giving in his manner. The gift he offered to me was a 4-volume history of Russia, and he knew that I had a strong interest in Russian history. And I was touched by his particular caring kindness and his thoughtfulness, he thinking that this is something I might like. And many times throughout the year, I have taken that history book in hand and read chapters from it, always thinking about Howie. Howard was indeed a brilliant person and a dedicated human being and attorney, and sought justice not only for his clients, but for the betterment of humanity. Howard was an attorney who believed in pursuing justice, and the Bible teaches us this magnificent lesson: justice, justice tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. For Howard realized that the repetition of justice signified that justice should be applied for all people, not only for the wealthy or powerful or for one's family, but for all. And how he lived his life practicing law and living life in a manner which enhanced the sacred worth of all human beings. He dedicated himself to his nation through the law and by serving his country in Vietnam. Howie was a distinguished partner, first with Charney Glasner and later Godfrey and Kahn. And his fine mind and his caring heart enabled him to fight on behalf of the desegregation of Milwaukee public schools. He was a past president of the 7th Circuit Bar Association, yet too he enjoyed so much the Wisconsin Badgers games. Howard's extraordinarily warm smile and laugh embraced his family, his many friends, and his colleagues. His many friends, his caring colleagues admired and so appreciated his warm, unassuming, and caring person who was a brilliant and an intelligent attorney who yet always remained humble. He was an Ishanav, as we read in the Torah. Though he was able to accomplish much in his very successful life, he always remained within his heart a humble and caring human being. He was a wonderful role model, and his thoughtfulness and intellect was so admired by so many people. Truly, the very world in which we live was enhanced so beautifully by Howard Pollack. And Carol, Howie's precious life was enhanced and enriched by the love and the respect that you bestowed upon Howie and your dear family and your friends. Truly, just watching Howie's face light up whenever he gazed upon you brought warmth, love to his beautiful family, of which he was so proud. I was touched by the words of love and respect so eloquently articulated by his family, always and most significantly today. Carol, he cherished you, loved you, always you, His cherished family admired and adored your dear Howie Pollack. He was an adoring father and grandfather who planned a variety of fun activities to love life. Howie loved life and each of you. He loved to take you to the theater, on trips, taste root beer, go grocery shopping. He was such a giving person. He believed in each of you. He encouraged you to succeed or to go on to law school and had confidence in you, to play chess online. He was a fountain of knowledge, interested and interesting was he. He would want you to cheer on the Badgers. Howie and Carol were beautiful and caring and warm, a dear couple. And he impacted so positively each one of the children within this beautiful family. He bestowed love and respect upon each child in the family and encouraged you to always take the high road. Yet Howie himself was a person who possessed the capacity to stay calm and thoughtful. He will be remembered as a man who was successful in so many ways. He lived his life and encouraged others to take the high road, to remain kind, patient, and relaxed. Howard bestowed such respect and love to you, Carol. He rejoiced in sharing life with you, and the abundant joy arose from your precious and beautiful marriage. You supported and sustained each other. He planned and offered joy and love to each of you. Love to take you on wonderful trips, to fun places, or to the kids to the zoo, or train rides, and spy house, restaurants. And Carol, your marriage to Howie was truly meant to be. It was beshert. Your lives together reached back so many years. It was beshert and meant to be, that you would share life together with the love you offered, the respect you offered, and the joy that you felt. Whether within your home or grilling in the backyard, amidst beautiful flowers sprouting and vegetables which you had created, planning wonderful trips and sharing a bountiful love. Carol and each of you within your family were meant to shower love and respect upon each other. Your marriage to Howard was truly meant to be. You were married on May the 31st, and that's a mystical number in a sense because May is the 5th month of the year and the 31st the last day of May. And if you add those two numbers, the 31 and the 5, it's 36. And in Jewish mysticism, the number 36, which is twice chai, represents life. A life well lived. A life imbued with family well blessed. May Howard Pollack always rest in peace. And we thank God for his being part of this earth and his family and of our community, for enhancing the world in which we live. And may he rest in peace as we each say, Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Shapiro. Adonai Natan, Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach. God has given, and God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. Will you take a moment of silence as we remember Howard. May the memory of Howard Pollack endure among us as a blessing. In your own time, O God, when we too are called to enter eternity, may we leave this life secure in the faith that in your light we shall see light. In life and in death we cannot go where you are not, and where you are, hope endures. Sustained by this assurance, we invoke your name, Almighty God. Please rise now, if you are able, for El Malei Rachamim.
שוכן במרומים המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה עם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת נפתלי הרץ בן אברהם ומרים שהלך לעולמו הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויתרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו אדוני הוא נחלתו וינוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Howard Pollack, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Friends, services will continue at Mount Zion Cemetery. We will not be going in a funeral procession. Following burial, everyone is cordially invited back here to Congregation Shalom to share some stories and a meal. Family will remain here until 3 p.m. That is today and today only. At this time, we ask that everyone remain standing until the casket has left the sanctuary. At this time, we invite the pallbearers forward.